किंचित फलं स्वेप्सितम् केचित् स्वर्गमथापवर्गमपरे योगादियज्ञादिभिः अस्माकं घ्रियुगलध्यानावधानार्थिनां किं लोकेन दमेन किं नृपतिना स्वर्गापवर्गैश्च किम् नमः कमलनाभाय नमः कमलमालिने नमः कमलपादाय नमस्ते कमलेक्षण यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रणोति तस्मै तग्वंह देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Dear souls, we'll have a few minutes of chanting. During this time, you can practice attaching your mind to Krishna by visualizing his form and feeling related to him. In your heart, you should sincerely feel that Krishna is yours and then see him before you. Radhe Radhe Govinda Bhaj Radhe Radhe Govinda Radhe 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 राधे राधे गोविंदा Radhe Radhe Govinda So I just want to, before we get started on today's Gita lesson, just tell you something about the chanting, because some of you aren't here when I start the chanting. So I want you to understand why we do it. That while we're chanting, we're supposed to be thinking of Krishna. We're chanting his name. Govinda is Krishna's name. And Radha is Krishna's female form. So Radha is also Krishna. And when we chant their name, we should do it from one way of thinking, seriously. It means we should take it seriously. Even though in your mind you might be thinking of playing with Krishna, or joking with Krishna, or wrestling with Krishna. You can do all of that with Krishna in your mind. He can be your best friend. But when we chant his name, we should have a feeling like this is something special. It's not a song like you're at a party and some song is playing in the background, so you're just talking. Actually, it's a divine name. So there's even a term, Nam Aparad. Means disrespecting God's name is also disrespecting God. So you have to, when you hear God's name being chanted, you have to be very respectful. That, oh, God's name is being chanted, I shouldn't make noise, I shouldn't talk, I should focus on this chanting of the name. So whenever we do chanting again in the future, you can think of it that way. Even if you come in late, just realize that we're chanting God's divine name. So you should come in and sit down quietly and then focus your mind on thinking of Krishna and chant his name wholeheartedly, knowing that it's a divine name. The name purifies your heart if you take it with faith. If you know, oh, this is Krishna's name I'm taking, and you keep chanting it, it actually purifies your heart. So it has that much power. Now, today's lesson will begin together. There's an extra thing I added in, which is not explicitly described in the 4th chapter. It's talked about later in the 8th chapter, but it's a good time to bring it up. Shika, you can come in, right? So, in the beginning of the 4th chapter, Shri Krishna tells Arjuna that this same knowledge I'm giving to you, I gave to Vivaswan at the beginning of this Manvantar, all that time ago. So then Arjuna had a question that, what? But I see you here now. How is it that you're talking about giving this these same teachings to Vivaswan, who gave them to his son Vaivaswat, who is the current Manu? So based on that question of Arjuna, then Krishna started explaining how Krishna himself keeps visiting the earth planet. So the thing that I just want to teach all of you before we split up is something which is very special about Hinduism. We have the knowledge of the cycles of time. How much time goes by and what that amount of time is called, and when a certain number of those go by, it's like a greater unit of time. So we'll do a little bit of math to start today, and you can understand something about the greatness of Hinduism by learning this and knowing that all this great scientific description of the cycles of time is there in our Hindu scriptures. So, come down to where it says, how long ago did Krishna give this knowledge to Vivaswan? So, I told you it was at the beginning of this Manvantar. So what is a Manvantar and how long ago is that? I'll explain to you. So to give you some perspective, a day of Brahma. Do you know who Brahma is? Has anyone seen a picture? He has one head but 4 faces. One facing forward, one facing right, one left, and one back. And he has a white beard. Have you seen pictures? So he's the one who's responsible for the creation of our earth planet. Not the whole universe. God does that. But Brahma is responsible for our little earth planet. So a day for Brahma is 4.32 billion years for us. Do you have you need to get a paper so you can follow. Nikki, can you bring a paper for 4.32 billion years is that's our years. That makes up just 12 hours for Brahma, like his day. So for Brahma, if just his day goes by, more than 4 billion years go by for us. Now, in a day of Brahma, just like we have hours, his hours are called manvantar. And instead of having 12 hours in his day, like we have 12 hours in the day, 12 hours in the night, he has 14 hours in his day. So there are 14 divisions called manvantar. At the beginning of every manvantar, human civilization is restarted, because in between the hours in Brahma's day, there's usually some kind of big disruption on the earth planet, like a big flood or something like that. So everything has to start again. So the one who's assigned to start it is called Manu. So the word Manu is where, I don't know, those of you who know Hindi, there's a word for humans. It means Manushya. Manushya means humans. So Manushya comes from the name Manu, because we're all descended from Manu. He's like our great grandfather. And his father is Brahma. And Brahma's father is Vishnu. So, you have a question?
So we're related to them?
We're all related, actually, because we're all descended from Manu. So each manvantar, each hour of Brahma's day, when our human civilization has to be restarted, it's restarted by a new Manu. Someone else, a saint, is appointed that now you're Manu. So our current Manu is called Vaivaswat Manu. So we're all descended from Vaivaswat Manu. We are the next blank you have to fill in. We are currently in the 7th manvantar. So remember, how many manvantar are there in one day of Brahma? Do you remember? You know? The total number of hours in Brahma's day, or manvantar. The manvantar is an hour. Yes? 14, right. So out of 14 total manvantar, we're in the 7th manvantar right now. Now, how long ago did this manvantar begin? That's what we're talking about. At the beginning of this manvantar, Krishna said, I gave this knowledge of Karma Yoga and knowledge of Gita to the father of Vaivaswat. He was called Vivaswan. So, to understand, now we're just looking at 1 hour in Brahma's day. Okay, what's the hour called? Say it loud. Good. Manvantar. So in 1 hour, what are our divisions of an hour? The next smallest division is what? 60 minutes. So Brahma doesn't have minutes. He has cycles of the 4 yugas. That's a minute for him. And he has 71 minutes in his hour. So there are 71 cycles of the 4 yugas in each manvantar. So write 71 in the next blank. So, have any of you heard of Kali Yuga? Kali Yuga, that's one of the 4 yugas. So there's Satyug, Dwapar Yuga, Satyug, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, then Kali Yuga. That's the 4 yugas. So one time around those 4 yugas is one minute in Brahma's day, but it's 4.32 million years for us. So that's the next one. One cycle is equal to 4.32 million. That means 4,320,000 years is equal to 1 minute for Brahma. So how many cycles of the 4 yugas in one manvantar? There's 14 manvantar. And in one of those manvantar, you have to go, how many minutes are there? How many cycles? Yes? 71, right. So out of those 71, we're in the 28th. That's the next one. We are in the 28th cycle of this manvantar. And this worksheet was made a few years ago. So we are how many years into Kali Yuga? We're actually...
It's 5-1.
It started in 3102 BC plus 2012, so that it should be 5,114 years into Kali Yuga. Yes. So that's why at the top of this little paragraph it says this manvantar began basically 120 million years ago if you add it all up. So 120 million years ago, Krishna says, I gave this knowledge of Gita to someone else. He's telling Arjuna that you're not the first one to hear it. I gave this same knowledge to someone else. So Arjuna was amazed. He said, you were here 120 million years ago? Because imagine, Krishna and Arjuna kind of knew each other since childhood. So they were cousins actually. So Arjuna thought of Krishna as his cousin. So imagine if your cousin says to you, I was here 120 million years ago doing this or doing that. You say, what are you talking about? So Arjuna asked Krishna, how could you have been here 120 million years ago? And then then he gives a big explanation of how he's God, but he comes here on the earth planet and visits repeatedly. So that's where we're going to start the explanation of the 4th chapter. And at this point, we'll invite the adults to go into the video room. And for those who haven't been here, we split up at this point for 30 minutes. So that I can teach the youth alone, and the adults watch a related topic, a video speech. And then we'll switch. The adults come back here, and the kids will go and play Jeopardy. What's that? Okay.
Yeah? I wish we could It's okay.
Okay, everybody pay attention or else we won't get through all of this information and you won't have the answers you need for the Jeopardy. Hey, you guys, is there something I can help you with? Or are you ready to start? No, is there anything? You got everything? Okay.
Guys, move up. Or a little bit, right?
Yeah. So Krishna tells Arjuna a secret. He says that this is not the first time I've been here. But Arjuna, it's not the first time you've been here either. Both of us have come here uncountable times. Now, you know how many times people sitting here, how many times have we been born? Uncountable times. Because we've been here as long as God has. We're as old as God. We talked about that, I think, on the second day. That God never created souls. Souls have existed since eternity. That means since forever. So no soul was ever created. There's a difference between, see, God is giving you life, but He didn't make you from nothing. Means He's inside you giving life to your soul. But He's always been there. It wasn't like one day He decided, I'm going to make Jessica. I'm going to make Rishi. He didn't make you. You've always been there, and He's always been inside of you, giving you life. And so you've been born on this earth planet uncountable times. And so has Krishna. So the word for being born is this one, janma, but actually, like, don't write it yet, don't write being born. Those of you who have birthdays, you know what it's called in Hindi? Yeah. Janmadin, right. But janma doesn't actually mean birth. Janma means to appear. So write that. Janma means to appear. So did we appear? We actually did. Because let's say, take me for example, I was born in Canada. Now before that, who knows where I was born? Maybe I was born in India and then I died, means my body died, so my soul left that body. And then, let's say, after dying in India, I had to be born in Canada. So did they put my soul on a plane in a first class seat and say, okay, now you have to go to Canada over there? No, my soul just appeared instantly over there. Inside my mother's womb, inside her tummy, I appeared. And there was already a little embryo growing, so then that became my new body. The body was there, my soul appeared inside it, like you can say, claimed that body for myself. So I also appeared. Then my body, once my body grew inside my mother's tummy, then I was born from her. But technically my soul just appeared. Yes?
If you're in the tummy, like, and the soul is not there, how does it, how do you when you say it's not there?
Initially, before the soul comes, you can say that the body is actually, the little embryo growing is part of the mother's body. Yeah. So turn to page 2. Because Krishna says He also appears. So what's the difference between Him appearing and us appearing? That we have to understand. So He tells Arjun, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacharjuna tanyaham veda sarvani natvam vetha parantapa. He says, Arjun, one difference is that I remember, Krishna is telling him, I remember all of my past appearances or births, and you don't remember. Krishna says, I remember all of mine and all of yours, but you don't remember any of it. That's one difference. So number one, he means Krishna, can remember all of his janma and ours, but we can't. Number two, he says, Janma karma chame divyam. My janma is divine. Divyam means divine. And ours is, your turn. You can say material. Mayak is also right. Either mayak or material. So what does that mean? We'll see in the next blanks that we have to fill in. Now, one difference is, one second, that we don't choose. in my example, saying that I was born in India in my last life and I died, and then I was given a birth in Canada. So I didn't choose that. I didn't decide, I think this life I want to be born in Canada. Let me choose that mother. No, I'm just sent according to whatever actions I did in my last life. God said, okay, according to that, you have to be born in this family over here. But Krishna, when he comes, he chooses to come. He decides. He's in the divine world, and then he just says, I'm going to go and visit the earth planet. And he comes. That's it. So, 2I is he chooses to come, but we have to come. You have a question? You have a question? Okay. Another big difference, his body is divine and ours is material. You have a question?
What does it mean, like, we have material?
Material means like our body dies one day, but Krishna's body never dies. So his is divine means his body is perfect.
He never can die.
That's right. So,
Is it tough to be God?
I don't think so. This body we have, it's temporary. We get it for a short time, and then when our body dies, we go and we get another body. But we stay the same. We means our soul and our mind, that stays the same. We just go and get another body. But when Krishna comes, he comes from the divine world with his body. He doesn't have to take a body. You understand the difference? We take a body. Krishna has his body already, so what does he do? It's like right now he's invisible. He just makes himself visible so we can see him. That's how he appears.
So his body doesn't die.
His body doesn't die. That's right. That's the next one. Our body does.
Bless you.
He is, yes, but that's not the right answer for that one. Where is he? Yes. He is omnipresent. It means he's everywhere, all the time. So where is Krishna right now? Yes.
Everywhere.
That's good. What you said is right and what you said is right. He said he's everywhere all around here. And you said he's in the divine world. Both are correct. Yes. He's also in your heart, inside of you. So he's everywhere all the time. So when he appears, he doesn't come from somewhere. It's not like, I told you he came from the divine world to here. That's not exactly right. Because he's already here, isn't he? He's already here. All he has to do is just show himself. Appear. That's right. So I think that's the next one. He is omnipresent, so he doesn't have to come from anywhere. He just appears.
What's avatar?
Avatar means to appear.
So if you can be taken here?
Avatar means like to come and visit the earth planet. You probably all know the movie, right? Avatar. They stole that word. The actual word is avatar. Avatar. An avatar means when God visits the earth planet.
Or it's just like another, he takes another form.
So God could be taking avatar at uncountable places simultaneously, or you can write at the same time, either one. So what it means is God is not restricted to only be in one place at one time. God can be many places, all at the same time. But we, what do you think the answer for that is? We only take birth in, yes, in the back. One place at one time. So these are all the differences between our Janma and Krishna's Janma. Here's another big difference. He was not born from his mother's, yes, tummy or womb. Either one is fine. Stomach is technically an organ of digestion. So think about that for a minute. How I described our birth, right? There's a little embryo growing. No, just listen. There's a little embryo growing. The soul comes in, enters, that becomes your body. You grow inside your mother, and then after 9 months you're born. God isn't born like that. You know how God comes on the earth planet? Using his divine power, the one who's lucky enough, who he's going to make his mother, he gives that person the feeling like they're getting pregnant. So their tummy grows bigger, they feel like there's a baby moving inside, but actually it's God just making them have that feeling. If you took like an ultrasound picture to try to see the baby inside, there would be no baby. So God isn't born out of his mother like we are. What he does is after 9 months, he just appears. But he appears in his normal, full-grown form. Like Krishna, 6 foot tall Krishna, appears in front of his mother. And his mother says, "Oh, you're here." Because she knows she's a devotee of Krishna. And then she says to him, "Can you please become a little baby so I can have you grow up in my house just like a little baby?" And then Krishna says, "Okay." And he turns himself into a little baby in her lap. Yeah, that's how he does it. He's not born as a baby. He appears in his normal full-grown form, and then he just transforms into a little baby and then grows up like a normal boy. Yeah. So actually, we don't say that God incarnates, because incarnate is what souls do when we come and enter in our mother's womb. God doesn't incarnate. He just, what does he do? Yes. Any questions about that? Yes. His actions are divine. It means, we talked about that yesterday, he doesn't have any personal reason to do anything. So his actions are divine, and ours are undivine or material. And one more amazing thing, what Krishna tells Arjun, is that even when he's appearing here, and you know, if this happened 5,000 years ago, that Krishna was there talking to Arjun, telling him all of this. So we could have seen Krishna. It means we could have seen God at that time. We wouldn't have recognized him, that's another matter. But the point I'm making is that he tells Arjun, even when he's appearing here, or even imagine he's a little baby, I told you he becomes like a little baby, He's still the Lord of all the living beings. It means even when he's appearing as a little baby, sit up properly. He's still watching the thoughts of every single soul. Can you imagine? He's like a baby crying for his mother's milk. So you think, oh, he's just a baby. No, it's Krishna. He's God, and he still knows what you're thinking, even when he's in that form. And he's still, so number 2 is, he's still the Lord of the whole universe. He's still everywhere else in the whole universe, even though you're seeing him at one place. So does anyone have any questions about all of that? Some of that was new to you probably, right? That's good. It's important to remember, because now you know even when God appears on earth, he's still God. He's still everywhere else at the same time. Yes?
Does he really turn into a baby?
Yeah. Oops, I forgot the part at the very bottom. So how did Krishna give the knowledge to Vivaswan 120 million years ago? He is God. So he keeps coming on the earth planet and helping the souls. He has come how many times? Uncountable.
Like us.
Okay. The next page talks about why he comes. Krishna says in the Gita, Dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. I keep coming on the earth again and again to establish, there's a word you learned on the very first day. It means a set of rules that the souls are supposed to follow. That is kept in the Ved. But what is that? Yes, you know? Good. Dharma. D-H-A-R-M. Dharma. You heard this on the first day, actually. But when Krishna says, I come to establish Dharma, there are 2 kinds of Dharma. So what are the 2 kinds? It's written there in English, you can tell me. One is how to be a good person, which we talked about quite a few times this week. What your duty is, respecting your parents, doing your schoolwork, living a healthy life, helping others. So that's how to be a good person. That is called apara dharma. It's one type of dharma. A-P-A-R. Apara dharma. So write that. And what's the other kind of dharma? How is it written in English? The next one below that? Good. How to find God. So that is called paradharma. P-A-R. Remember I told you yesterday that some of the things Krishna did they were meant for us to imitate? I was telling you when he was showing how to help other people, give charity, take care of his family, then that kind of thing, those kind of actions Krishna does, we're supposed to imitate them. We're supposed to be like him. What kind of actions of Krishna? What were some examples of actions that we're not supposed to imitate? Nikhil?
Stealing butter.
Stealing butter. What else? Yes?
Eating mud, soil, dirt.
Eating the soil. Yeah.
Lies.
Telling a lie to his mother.
You guys
Yes.
do that? Jumping into the water to get a ball.
Oh yeah, jumping into the water when there was a big snake there. So some of those things we're not supposed to imitate. Fighting against demons. Yes. Yeah. So, but that doesn't mean that those actions of Krishna aren't important. You know why? You guys look like you're getting tired. We're almost done. Do you know why? Do you know why that those actions are still important? Because those are the ones that are most interesting to us that we want to remember. It means when I tell you Krishna broke into his neighbor's house to steal butter, your automatic reaction is, what? Why did he do that? What happened? Did he get caught? What was he doing? So see, you're interested in it. That's the thing. Remember I told you if you sing Krishna's name, what does it do to your heart? Yes. Purifies it. Another way to purify your heart, remember Krishna's leelas. All those things he did, whatever they are, they're all divine. So even Krishna's eating butter is a divine action. And if you think about that, you're purifying your heart. So in a way, he's giving us another way to love him by seeing, oh, he's just like me. Maybe I can be Krishna's friend and he can give me some butter too. You can think like that. Or he could be your little brother or your big brother or your best friend, whatever you want. So my point is that even though you're not going to imitate those actions, they're still important because they're a nice way of remembering Krishna. So number 3 is, some actions Krishna performs are meant to be imitated by common people. These actions were done to establish what kind of dharma? Yes, Rishi? Aparadharma. Right, he's showing how to be a good person. And some actions that Krishna performs are meant for loving remembrance of the devotees. It means when you just think of them in your mind. So these actions were done to establish, yes, paradharma. That's right. It means it teaches you how to love God. Yes.
Another word for like just as like desire.
He's what?
Getting desire.
He doesn't have desires. That's another thing. Krishna never even feels hungry, so why would he steal butter, right? He's doing it to give happiness to his devotees. Because his devotee made that butter and was thinking, I hope Krishna comes in my house and takes my butter. Yes.
But even after that, they would get mad at him.
That was another excuse to get close to Krishna. They would decide, let's go and complain to Krishna's mother because we want to see what Krishna looks like when he's like afraid. He's hiding behind his mother and 8 or 10 gopis have come and they're all complaining to his mother. He broke into my house. He broke into my house too. Yeah, he took my butter. He took all my butter. He broke all my pots. And they wanted to tell, even though they wanted Krishna to come and do that, now they thought, wouldn't it be nice to see little Krishna, he's probably 4 or 5 years old, what will his face be like when we go and tell on him to his mother? We want to see him looking a little bit scared, like, what am I going to do now? They told on me to my mother. Wouldn't it be interesting? Wouldn't you want to see Krishna's face looking like that, hiding behind his mother? So they also wanted to do that.
God
God acts like that because his devotees want to see him act like that. They have a desire that I want to see God behave like that.
So is that something that really
That's a good question. He asked, so God's only acting, Krishna's only acting? Not really. Because you can say that his devotees means someone who loves him. They love him so much that it makes him forget he's God. Kind of like, let's say your dad was a police officer. So if you met him on the job and he was being a police officer, you would have to be very respectful. You wouldn't be able to just behave any way you want. He's working, so you have to keep your distance. But when he comes home, he's still a police officer, right? But you can jump in his lap. You can pull his beard if he has a beard. But you can't do that when he's behaving like a police officer. So it means when he comes home, he forgets about being a police officer and he just says, you're my son. I might be a police officer for the rest of the world, but for you, I'm your father and you're my son. So Krishna does that. He says, forget about me being God. Just play with me. Understand? Any other questions? Okay, the last thing, we're going to leave the page 4 for tomorrow. I just want to give you 2 more blanks. This is a really important statement Krishna makes. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tas tathaiva bhajamyaham. And this has 2 meanings. The first one is, however you worship Krishna, when your devotion is complete, he comes to you in that form. So it means, let's say someone thinks of him as Shiva. Then when your heart is 100% pure, how will he come to you? As Shiva. Let's say you think of him as Ram. When your heart is 100% pure, why are some of you guys looking backwards? When your heart is 100% pure, in what form will he come to you? Yes? As Ram. And if you think of him as Krishna, he'll come to you as Krishna, so it's up to you. But there's only one God. One God for the whole world. It's not even like a different Christian God or Muslim God or Jewish God. One God for everybody, but however you think of him, he'll come to you like that. Yes?
Is it sort of like, if God is in the soul, does he like make up the actions or does he?
Good question. Did you hear what he asked? If God is in your soul, is he controlling your actions that you do? The answer is no. So he gives you the life so you can perform the actions, but you decide to do one thing or another.
If I decide nothing,
Yeah, you decide, not God. God doesn't decide.
your life is in it.
Yeah, but your mind means you. But not God, he doesn't decide. And the last thing, however you...
There's 2 more. There's one at the bottom.
I'll save that for tomorrow. However you love Krishna, he loves you the same way in return. What's that? Oh. I left the A off because some people say Krishna, but it's not Krishna, that's a girl's name. It's Krishna. Krishna. That's a boy's name. Yeah. So that's what I was saying, that if you think, oh, he's God, and I have to be afraid of him, then he'll act like God for you. But if you think, Krishna, you're God, you may be God, that's fine. But for me, you're my brother, and I'm going to treat you like my brother. I'm going to love you like my brother. Then he'll love you as his own brother or his own sister. Or if you think, you're my best friend, he'll treat you as his best friend. However you love him, he loves you. So it's like a guarantee. So however you want Krishna to love you, you love him the same way. Yes.
If you see Krishna, what happens if he bows in front of him?
No. See, if you see Krishna, you won't be bad to him. Because he won't even come in front of you in his physical form until your heart is 100% pure. So until then, you keep thinking of him in your mind. Understand? Yes.
If you meet God anytime, would you like meet him in like real person or in like a dream or something?
No, you could meet him as a real person. Nikki, they have to go out if they're going to talk. You can meet God as a real person when he's taking avatar, like 5,000 years ago when Krishna was here. But the problem for us would be, because our heart is not pure yet, we wouldn't recognize him, that who is he? He would look like an ordinary boy to us. But when your heart is 100% purified, then he comes to you in his divine form and never leaves you. You get to be with him forever. Yes.
If you see Krishna, how do you know if it's Krishna or not? Like Krishna's always blue, do you know if Krishna?
Yes, but if your heart isn't 100% purified, Krishna won't even look blue to you. Because his bluish color is a divine color. So with our eyes, you would look and say, oh, he's just a normal boy.
So if you're 100% pure, then you can like...
Then he'll look like that. Except he'll be so beautiful to you that you might like just laugh. Or faint, that's right. So beautiful.
And you'll say,
Any other questions?
is God like dark blue or...
He can be darkish or lightish blue, it's up to you.
Oh, so he
However you want to think of
So
it.
he decides what color he wants to be?
Yeah. Yes.
If Shiva is the same color, isn't there a reason for him to be that color? Like this?
There would be a reason if he wasn't like that and he became like that, right? And then you could say, why did you make yourself blue? But he's been like that forever. That's his divine color. Like a glowing bluish color.
So his color gives him the bluish color?
You could say that. So let me see if you're ready for your Jeopardy. What is the hour in Brahma's day called? Yes. Starts with an M. Yes. Very good. How many of those Manvantar are there in one of Brahma's days? Close. What did you say? 4 is close. And yes. No.
1?
Yes. 14 is the right answer.
Minutes.
Okay, how many minutes in one? 71. Good. Excellent. And which out of 71 times around, we're in which number right now? Yes. 28. Wow, you guys are doing well. And what is the total length of Brahma's day in our years? Yes, in the back. Good. You guys have a good memory. What is the length of time it takes to go around the 4 yugas? It's also 4.32 something. Yes.
4.32 million.
Good. What does Janma mean? Nikhil?
Appear.
Appear, right. Name one difference between Krishna's Janma and our Janma. Yes. Good. What's another difference?
He can choose
Mm-hmm. Yes. Good. What else?
He could appear at the same time on kind of uncountable places.
Yes, good. And
His brother in the divine world, his brother's made of the world and our body's made of two.
oh, well, good. Excellent. Yes.
He's omnipresent.
Good.
I have one.
Nikki, can you or Shika go in? I
go.
think I didn't know it was this long. I think we need to cut it off.
Yours out.
Tell them they'll get to see the rest of it tomorrow. Oh, they're here. Okay.
I have one more.
Wait, don't get up yet. You have one more?
Krishna's body did not.
Oh, good. Krishna's body doesn't die. He appears and then he just, actually when he leaves, he disappears and his body goes with him.
So, Krishna can be like a billion, like in the whole 50 states at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
One
Is that the
body.
same with the demons?
Only God is like that.
Please don't like other gods, like other gods, except for Krishna. Like that might be God.
Hanuman? Yeah. He's also everywhere.
No, any God can be anywhere but one God.
That's right. But they're not different gods. They're one God who appears in that form.
So like an elephant God can like appear also.
Yeah, Ganesh Ji is also a form of Krishna.
Wait, so he's Krishna's friend?
Yeah. Okay. You guys can go down and play Jeopardy. You can leave. Oh, okay. Well, maybe we can get the answer from Rishi or Nikhil or one of those guys. Yeah, later. That was a long speech. It still wasn't done.
I think maybe 5 to 10 minutes more left.
Was that extra long speech? Yeah. Something to do with the media player, actually. Sometimes you have to go in and choose to play with subtitles.
We should have looked at upfront. We didn't want to mess around when it was going on. So just everybody said just let
This topic of the 4th chapter, just the first part of the 4th chapter, is actually the Avatar Rahasya of the Gita. Avatar does not mean to incarnate. Every one of you sitting here has either read that or said that, and probably said it to your kids. But after today, I hope you'll never say it again. God does not incarnate. God takes avatar. So this chapter teaches the difference between incarnating and taking avatar. So when Arjuna asked the question, Krishna, how is it possible that you gave this knowledge to Vivaswan 120 million years ago? So Krishna said, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacharjuna tanyaham veda sarvani natvam vedha parantapa. He said, Arjun, I have appeared, I have taken janma uncountable times, and so have you. But I can remember all of my janma and all of yours, and you can't remember either. This word janma, we say my janma din, janam din. It doesn't mean birth. It comes from the Sanskrit root jani pradur bhave, which means prakat hona, to appear. So in fact, both we appear and Krishna appears, but our appearances are different. See, we also appear because wherever we died in our last life, our soul had to go from that place, that point, to wherever we were going to be born in this life, inside our mother's womb, whoever was going to be our mother in this life. We were not transported by bus or train or plane or spaceship from the point wherever we died to wherever we had to be reborn. We can just appear. Sarvagata. Gita says, describing about the soul, that the soul can go anywhere in an instant. There's no travel time, no time lapse. Wherever the soul is, it can just appear wherever it needs to be. So we also appeared within our mother's stomach, within her womb. We entered that growing embryo, and that became our body for this life. So we also appeared. But Krishna, he doesn't appear in the same way. For one thing, he doesn't have to come and go. Our soul was over there, it had to be born over here. Krishna is already everywhere, so he doesn't have to come and go. Another thing, don't let him talk, please. This is a very deep subject. Everybody has to have full concentration. So, another big difference is, he comes of his own ichha, swecha se aate hain. Whereas we come according to our karma. We're bound to come. We're bound to be born of a certain family, in a certain region, and grow up like that. We don't get to choose. It happens. But Krishna chooses. I'm going to be born here, or I'm going to appear here, at this time, in this place, to these parents, the lucky parents who get to have Krishna as their own son. But they're God-realized saints. They're not ordinary souls. They're God-realized saints who loved Krishna with Vatsalya Prem. They loved him as their own son, or they did devotion in that way. And upon complete heart purification, they were rewarded. That, okay, you can have God, you can have Krishna as your own son. But he decides. He's not bound by any kind of karma. So he comes in the world, and when he comes, his appearance is different than ours in this way, that he's not born from his mother's womb. We appeared inside that growing embryo, and that became our body. But God doesn't have to appear, Krishna didn't have to appear inside Devaki's stomach. He was already there. He's inside your belly right now too, and your belly and my belly He's inside everybody's belly. He's omnipresent. So it's actually described that using his Yogamaya Shakti, he manipulated the air inside Devaki's abdomen to give her the feeling and the sensations of being pregnant. Even to this point that she felt there's a baby moving, kicking, all of that she experienced. But there was no little baby Krishna growing inside of her. And after 9 months passed, Krishna simply appeared before her in his full-grown form. So how could he have come out of her womb? He wasn't born in the way we are born. He appeared as 16-year-old Krishna standing in front of her. And then after some stuti, you can say, they praised Krishna. Then she prayed to him that, can you please become a little baby? Upasanghara vishvatman nadoru pamalaukikam bhagavat. Please become a little baby, become a newborn baby. I want to have the joy of motherhood, but you're already full grown. So Krishna just transformed himself into the size of a newborn baby, and that was it. So his appearance is quite different than our appearance. We're born and we come into this world crying. And he just appears because he's already everywhere, so he just makes himself visible at that place. And then he becomes a little baby, but he starts his childhood leelas by smiling, not crying. This is all described in gist in the Gita, and the whole Leela is described in the Bhagavatam. So the body that Krishna appears with, he says, Janma karma cha me divyam. My janma is divine, which means that he comes through his own free will. He's not born from his mother's womb. He simply is omnipresent and he manifests himself at that place. And more than that, Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishvaropi san prakritim swamadhisthaya sambhavamyatma mayaya. Shri Krishna tells Arjuna in this 4th chapter that my body is avyayam. It means my body is eternal and indestructible. So Krishna didn't take a body to come here. His divine body, tamekam govindam satchidananda vigraham. Krishna Upanishad says, his vigraha, his body is Sat Chit Anand, is divine. So his body is in fact omnipresent. That's something that most people don't know. God is not omnipresent as a formless energy. God is omnipresent in his personal form. Shri Krishna is everywhere. Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Gita. The whole world is the form of Krishna to the saint who has attained Krishna. So he is omnipresent with his divine body. So he simply makes that divine body visible at one place, that's avatar. And when he leaves, he just disappears. That's it. He doesn't leave his body behind. He doesn't die. In fact, he never looks older than 16 years old, even though he stayed on the earth planet for 125 years. He never looked older than 16 because his body was divine. So he grew up from being a little baby up till that teenage looking years, or maybe, late teens, but he never looked any older than that. So in all of these ways, Krishna's appearance is divine. His body is divine. And he says, Bhutanam Ishvaropi San. Even when he's here, and you can see him at one place, he's still the Ish of all living beings, and the Ish of the entire universe. Imagine that. Little Krishna is crying in his mother's arms. He can't even talk. He's hungry, so he's crying. That same Krishna who's lying in his mother's arms, crying to be fed, is simultaneously keeping note of all the actions of every single soul, every thought of every soul. The same Krishna who's crying in his mother's arms knows what you're thinking. The same Krishna could be taking avatar in uncountable other places simultaneously. In fact, in Uttarkand of the Tulsi Ramayana, there's a description of Kag Bhushundi, who was a great saint, who went inside Ram. Ram inhaled him. He went down inside his belly. And he saw the whole universe inside of Ram. And he visited other Brahman, other earth planets, and he saw Ram taking avatar over on that one, and Ram simultaneously taking avatar over on that one. He visited so many different Brahman, and he saw Ram taking avatar in all of them. Ram and Krishna are one. So Krishna, whether you say Krishna is taking avatar in uncountable places simultaneously, or you say Ram is, it's the same thing. Now you understand something about Krishna's appearance, that it's not an ordinary birth, that you can say it's a simulated birth. He simulated a material birth by having his mother appear to be pregnant and experience things like she was going through pregnancy. But his birth was divine in every way. So this is why we say he takes avatar, or he appears. But he doesn't incarnate, because incarnate means a soul under the bondage of karma who's forced to take birth according to his past karma. And he came from somewhere and was put in that mother's womb. That's incarnate. God doesn't incarnate. He just manifests his body. That's it. So any questions about that part? Yes?
So for whatever event we have heard it, so what were you telling? Based on that, if a 16-year-old person goes in front of the lady, appears and says, "I'm your son," will she buy it?
Well, Devaki and Vasudev were God-realized saints. So a saint recognizes God. We can't recognize God. If we were there 5,000 years ago and we had seen any of Krishna's leelas, whether it was him telling Gita or him appearing in the jail cell or doing any other leela, we wouldn't have recognized him as Krishna. We wouldn't have known he was God. Because his divinity can't be perceived with material eyes. But a saint has divine eyes, divine faculty of perception. So that's how Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. Gita says a Mahatma. Mahatma means a God-realized saint. A God-realized saint with divine vision sees Krishna everywhere. And an ordinary soul, Tribhir gunamayair bhavairebhi sarvamidam jagat mohitam nabhijanati mamebhyah paramavyayam. Krishna says in the 7th chapter that if an ordinary soul with material eyes sees me, he thinks I'm an ordinary person. So we can't recognize him, but the saints always recognize him. Any other questions? Let me make sure I didn't leave anything out from your worksheets. Well, one note that is on your worksheet is the difference between Maya and Yoga Maya. Two of God's powers. One Maya keeps us under its control, and only by getting free from Maya can we attain divine bliss. But then there's Yoga Maya, which is God's internal power. And with his Yoga Maya power, that's how even when he's acting like a little baby, he's still he's still the Lord of the entire universe. And that Yoga Maya power gets given to a soul who becomes God realized. And that's how that soul can then perceive God, experience his divine bliss, receive his divine knowledge. So right now we don't have that Yoga Maya power. But if we become surrendered to God, we can receive it. And that is the only way that a soul can know God or experience God, is through God's grace in this way. So the next, still talking about his avatar, there are a couple famous verses of Gita because they're sung at the beginning of the old Mahabharata series. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Krishna says, Arjuna, I keep coming on the earth planet from time to time through the yugas. And the reason that I come, the main reason, he mentioned a few things, but I'm just concentrating on the most important reason. Dharma sansthapan, to establish dharma. So dharma is of two kinds, as you learned already in this series. There's aparadharma and paradharma. Apar means how to be a good person. Aparadharma means all the do's and don'ts of our scriptures, telling you how to be a good person and what your duties are. And then the paradharma is just how to love God. The path of bhakti is the paradharma. How to become surrendered to God and attain Him. That's paradharma. Your supreme dharma is to attain God. And your physical dharma is to be a good person in the world. Krishna comes to establish both of those. So yesterday I explained to you that not all of Krishna's actions are meant to be imitated. So this relates to this. Those actions that were performed which are establishing the aparadharma, like I told you, Krishna was giving charity, following all the family duties when he was in Dwarika. All of those actions which are according to the aparadharma, how to be a good person. Krishna did those to establish that aparadharma. But those actions, most of the actions he did when he was in Braj are of a different kind. They were to teach the souls how to love him, or to give them a means of loving him. So like I said, when Krishna was stealing butter or telling a fib to his mother that no, I didn't steal the butter, even though he got caught red-handed, obviously he's not establishing aparadharma. He's not showing how to be a good person. He's doing a loving, sweet leela that souls will like to hear and think about, and in that way they'll grow to love him. So that is actually establishing paradharma. It's in fact a very deep subject. When I told the kids that, even though you're not supposed to imitate Krishna when he does those things, see the difference when I tell you, Krishna broke into his neighbor's house and stole their butter. You immediately say, what? What happened? Did he get caught? Why did he do that? Then what happened? So you want to hear more. So Krishna did those leelas because those are also purifying leelas. Like I explained in the beginning, if you remember his name, it purifies your heart. Same thing if you remember his leelas. So are you more likely to sit and think of a leela, Krishna giving charity, Krishna doing his duty in Dwarika, Or are you more likely to think of Krishna playing with his friends and doing some sweet mischief? You're more likely to think of that. You even like it, I wouldn't tell your kids this, but you even like it a little bit when your kids do some mischief. You don't like them to be perfect and just act serious all the time. You like it when they do some mischief. So Krishna also wants to get in our heart. So he, just like it says in the Ramayana, Bhakta hetu Bhagavan Prabhu Ram dhare utanu bhupa kiye charita pavan param prakrit nar anurupa. He comes on this earth planet and he does charita pavana param, supremely purifying actions that we call leelas, just as an ordinary person would do. Prakrita nara anurup, just like an ordinary material being. He behaves just like us because that's what we can relate to and that's what we can love. And then, soi guna gai Bhagat bhavatarahi. Then by singing those leelas and remembering those leelas, a devotee can cross over this ocean of Maya and reach God. So it's actually the means of doing devotion. Devotion becomes very interesting when you have all of these interesting leelas. And depending on your own sanskar, you may be more interested in a Sakhya Bhav Leela, where Krishna is out grazing the cows with his friends, and what kind of games did they play and how did they eat lunch. Or maybe you're more interested in a Vatsalya Bhav Leela. How was Krishna with Mother Yashoda? How did he behave with her? How did she love him? Or maybe you're more interested in the Madhurya Bhav Leelas. How did the gopis love Krishna? The Ras Leela, all of those things. So Krishna revealed these Leelas to reveal to the souls that you can have these loving relationships with me. You can love me with Sakhya Bhav, or Vatsalya Bhav, or Madhurya Bhav. This leads us to another very important verse of the 4th chapter. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tas tathaiva bhajamyaham. Krishna says, however you love me, I'll love you the same way in return. So if you love him as a friend, he really does love you as a friend. He's not acting or pretending. Your love makes him forget that he's God, and he just knows that this soul is my friend. That's it. He doesn't even think of you as a soul and him as God. You're just friends. If you love him with Vatsalya Bhav, he loves you as if you are his mother or father. And if you love him with Madhurya Bhav, as your Priyatam, he loves you the exact same way in return. So this is his promise in the Gita. So when he comes, some of his actions are to show how to be a good person, and some of them are just to reveal how you can love him. So those ones, those sweet leelas of Braj, are more to establish the paradharma, how to love God, how to do bhakti. And the other more serious leelas, when he's showing how to be a good person, that's to establish what is the aparadharma, how should a person behave in the world. So there's one more topic, one more important verse related to Guru, which is the only verse in the Gita directly describing the Guru-disciple relationship. We'll save that for tomorrow. Yes, you had a question?
I have a question about people like Jayadratha or Ravan for that matter. These were the people who waited for all their lives. But it says, people say that even they attain moksha. So what does that signify? What do people say about it?
I mentioned earlier in this class that all of the individuals who take part in his leelas are divine saints, even the villains. Think of it like Krishna's coming and he wants to reveal some different kinds of leelas, so he comes with many saints. So he's like the director and the star in the movie, and his saints are going to play all the supporting roles. So someone has to be the bad guy, someone has to be the good guy. So that Ravan is actually a divine personality from Vaikuntha abode, who comes on the earth planet and acts in that way. So that if Ram is going to have a war, who's going to fight against it? Has to be one of his own people who has the power to fight against it. So then killing him is not really killing him, it's just sending him back to the divine abode. Yes?
So it's said that Krishna came to the earth because of the imbalance between good and evil, and that dharma needed to be reestablished. But if God is omnipresent and everywhere and aware of everything that's happening, then why does this imbalance occur in the first place? Why does this have to, why does it have to be so extreme before it has to be fixed again?
His being omnipresent doesn't actually change the nature of the material energy. So this material energy has its own qualities of, positive and negative, good and bad, built in. Now God is omnipresent here, but that doesn't change the nature of the energy. It still is what it is. And we also, you can say, God is within us. So how is it even possible for us to think a bad thought? But God being in us doesn't change our thinking unless we consciously remember Him. If we don't consciously remember Him, then His being there doesn't, it's like there's milk in the udder of a cow. But does that milk make the cow healthy? No, someone can drink the milk and they get healthy, but something like that, God is inside of us, but if we're not consciously remembering Him, it doesn't make any difference. Yes?
Actually, the question why villains who really hate God also attain moksha.
They don't hate God though, that's the point. They don't hate God.
Well, that was the question asked.
Yeah, they don't hate God. My answer was that they're divine personalities who act as a villain, but they don't hate God. In fact, they're serving God by behaving in that way.
Yeah, but see, what I was going to say is, because what I heard is that they are so involved, so absorbed in hating God, but at the same time they are thinking about Him. And it's in their mind all the time. And as a result, they attain moksha. Just because you can remember God in any way. You love Him or love her, that's fine. If you hate her, still if you remember, you attain moksha.
Yeah, that is also said.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But one note of caution would be that only works for during avatar kal. It's not recommended for souls to try to attain God by having that kind of negative thinking about Him. It's not even possible. We have to attach our mind to Him through positive thinking.
You said that God decides when this comes down. Do you have any timeline when it's going to come back again?
Well, there are the kind of main advertised avatar, which are advertised in the scriptures and they're known. And the next known one, which is said in the scriptures, is at the end of Kali Yuga. He comes as Kalki. But Kali Yuga is quite long. We're only just over 5,000 years into it, and the length of Kali Yuga is 432,000 years. So it's not for some time. But there are other avatars that happen which are not, you could say, even told in the scriptures. God may come in other forms that are not mentioned in the scriptures.
Another part of my question was that about human beings, their soul is not controlled by themselves. So is there a timing for them when they come back?
Oh, like when we're reborn, you mean? Yeah, it's just ongoing. I mean, as soon as you die, you just move on. You go and you get reborn, or maybe you had to go to Swarg or even to Narak temporarily, but There's no break time except during pralay. During pralay, everybody gets a break.
And that's why
God included. Meaning he doesn't have to look after us or worry about us at that time. Like putting the kids to bed, you know, when mom and dad go, whew, we get to relax for a little while. Last question, then we'll do the arati. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Yes. See, the key is that as I was explaining, God is omnipresent in his personal form. So even though technically he's beyond our mind, but he's in our mind. So if we consciously remember him, he graces us. And that's the joining factor. Otherwise, on our own, we couldn't reach him. But if we consciously remember him, then he instantly graces us. And then we experience a unity with him. So it's his grace that is received through our conscious remembrance of him. That's what bridges the gap.
So by doing our worthy things, if we start our worthy things with the prayer to him, that is remembering him?
Yes, so that time that you're praying, you're remembering him. Then keep remembering him as much as possible throughout the day. So let's stand and do the arati.
Yeah, try not to block it, because I'm going to film the people doing the arati.
Tomorrow's time will be the same, 7 to 8:30. And then there's one more day after that, Saturday, will be 7 to 9.
Perfect, because the people are going to be doing arati. No, because I'm filming the people do arati.
Why do you need filters?
Because I am. Dad, I said not to block it. Dad, I said not to block it.
the arati is fine. You want to lift it up there because people are standing?
Do you want to make it? You can make the announcement. Yeah, or after.
It's recording?
Yeah. But that's it, don't mess around too much.
Just leave it so. No.
Hello. One quick announcement. Excuse me. Saturday, this Swamiji has agreed to participate in a yoga and meditation class, which begins on 9:30 in the morning till 11 o'clock. Saturday morning, 9:30 to 11. Thank you. Om Jai Jagdish Swami Jai Jagdish Hare Aas janon ke sangat shan mein dur kare. Om Jai Jagdish Hare. Jo chave phal paave dukh min se man ka. Swami dukh min se man ka. Sukh sampati ghar aave. Sukh sampati ghar aave. Kasht mite tan ka. Om Jai Jagdish Hare. Maat pita tum mere sharan padu main jiski. Swami sharan padu main jiski. Tum bin aur
सर्वे भद्राणि
भगवान, सब पर कृपा करो भगवान, सबका सर्वविधि हो कल्याण, कि सबको दो भक्ति का दान। रात सब सुखी हो, कोई न हो दुखारी, सब हो निरोग भगवान, धन धान्य के भंडारी, सब भद्र भाव देखे, सन्मार्ग के पथिक हो, दुखिया न कोई होवे, सृष्टि में प्राणधारी, दुखिया न कोई होवे, सृष्टि में प्राणधारी। सुखी बसे संसार सब, दुखिया रहे न कोई, सुखी बसे संसार सब, दुखिया रहे न कोई, यह अभिलाषा हम सबकी भगवन पूरी होय, यह अभिलाषा हम सबकी भगवन पूरी होय। ओम शांति अंतरिक्ष वनम, शांति पृथ्वी, शांतिरापा, शांति ओषधया, शांति वनस्पतया, शांति विश्वे देवा, शांति ब्रह्मा, शांति सर्वगम, शांति शांतिरेवा, शांति श्यामा, शांतिरेधि। ओम शांति 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 ओम। बोल सच्चे दरबार की जय। जय हो जय मंदरा वाली